Let me talk to you like I would to someone sitting across from me. Not to teach, not to convince, but to say out loud what most people already know but rarely admit. Most people don't stay in the wrong life because they don't see the problem. They stay because changing would cost them something deeper than money. It would cost them who they believe they are. At some point in adulthood, almost everyone has the same quiet realization. Something feels off. Not broken, not dramatic, just wrong enough to notice. The work still functions. Life still looks stable. Responsibilities are still being met. But the sense of direction is gone. You're moving, but you're no longer sure where. The dangerous part is that nothing is obviously failing. And when nothing is failing, there's no permission to stop. Most people believe they don't change because of money. Bills, mortgages, dependence. But money is only the surface. Underneath it is identity, the role you've been playing for years, the version of yourself other people recognize, the person you've invested time, effort, and reputation into becoming. You're not just afraid of failing, you're afraid of no longer being the reliable one, the successful one, the stable one. You're afraid of becoming someone people don't know how to talk about. That fear is stronger than dissatisfaction. So you stay. You explain it logically. You call it responsibility. You call it realism. You tell yourself that this is just what adulthood feels like. And because the explanation sounds reasonable, you stop questioning it. Here's the truth most people never say out loud. The life you're living now didn't trap you in one moment. It was built slowly, through reasonable decisions that made sense at the time. Better income led to better living standards. Better living standards led to fixed obligations. Fixed obligations led to fewer acceptable risks. And fewer acceptable risks slowly turned into no acceptable exits. You didn't choose a prison. You chose comfort step by step until flexibility disappeared. Money plays a very specific role in this process, not as greed, but as structure. When your future income is already assigned to past decisions, your present choices shrink. You don't need to be told you can't change. You already feel it. Responsibilities deepen the trap. Family, children, people who rely on you. These responsibilities are real, and they matter. But many people confuse responsibility with self-erasure. They believe being responsible means never adjusting course again, never questioning the structure, never admitting the cost. But a life that drains you indefinitely is not sustainable responsibility. It's slow collapse. There's a quiet belief that once you've gone far enough down a path, turning back is dishonest. That admitting misalignment invalidates the years you've already spent. This belief keeps people locked in place longer than any financial contract ever could. But life isn't a straight line. It's a structure, and structures can be adjusted without burning them down. The problem is that adjustment doesn't give immediate rewards. There's no applause for choosing less pressure over more praise. No recognition for reducing obligations instead of increasing income. No status attached to margin. So most people wait. They wait for burnout, for crisis, for permission that never comes. Here's something uncomfortable but important. If your life only works when nothing goes wrong, it's not stable. It's fragile. And fragility grows quietly under the appearance of success. Redesigning your life doesn't mean quitting everything. That advice only works for people with nothing to lose. For adults with responsibilities, redesign starts with something smaller but harder. Honesty. Honesty about what is actually draining you. Honesty about which commitments no longer serve the person you're becoming. Honesty about the difference between obligation and habit. The goal isn't to escape responsibility. The goal is to make responsibility survivable. That starts with margin, financial margin, time margin, energy margin. Without margin, you can't think. You can only react. And reaction is how decades disappear without intention. Most people chase more income when what they need is fewer fixed demands. They think progress means growth, when sometimes progress means subtraction. Less lifestyle dependency, less irreversible obligation, less identity tied to constant productivity. When you reduce what you must maintain, you regain the ability to choose. Slowing down is the first act of redesign, not quitting, not retreating. Slowing down enough to see the structure you're inside. Speed hides misalignment. Comfort delays doubt. Routine normalizes dissatisfaction. When you slow down, you notice how much of your effort goes toward preserving an image instead of building a life you actually want to inhabit. There's a difference between a life that looks good and a life that feels right. One is optimized for approval, the other is designed for sustainability. Living a life that's good on paper, but wrong internally creates a specific kind of exhaustion. Not physical tiredness, but existential fatigue. The kind that rest doesn't fix because the problem isn't energy, it's direction. At some point, you have to decide what you're optimizing for: praise or alignment, stability or margin, being admired or being present. This is where many people stop because choosing alignment often means disappointing someone, sometimes others, sometimes the version of yourself you used to be. But here's the quiet truth: no one else will live the cost of your misalignment for you. They won't carry your regret, they won't spend your time, they won't wake up in your body decades from now. Living a life that's enough to be praised is easy to justify and hard to escape. Living a life that's enough to be right is harder to explain, but easier to carry. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop being trapped by who you used to be. A life redesigned slowly may not impress anyone, but it allows you to wake up without resistance, to make decisions without fear, to stop negotiating with yourself every morning. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is not being forced to do what you no longer believe in. If there's one question worth carrying with you after this, it's not "what should I change?" It's "what am I continuing only because stopping would force me to admit the truth?" That question doesn't demand action immediately. It demands honesty. And honesty, sustained long enough, always changes structure. You don't need to burn your life down. You need to stop building it in a direction you no longer agree with. That's how redesign begins.